Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Friday, April 16th, 2021. In the headlines, more mass shootings. Another FedEx facility shooting, this time in Indianapolis. Shortly after March Madness was just there, the college basketball tournament. And we'll cover a number of the stories in the headlines today, but notice down at the bottom on the right side, if you can make that out, Helen McCrory, Harry Potter, and Peaky Blinders star dead at 52. It's at the very bottom of the story. So they're not bringing a lot of attention to this actress's death. You know, so often when an entertainer dies, they'll promote it as one of the top stories. But hers, they got way down at the bottom. And I thought that was interesting because the news broke today. They're saying she died today. And every single source that's reporting on is mentioning first that she was in the Harry Potter series, also the more recent Peaky Blinders. But notice, she's dead today, April 16th, the 106th day of the year, and her name in Gematria, Helen Elizabeth McCrory, is 106. And again, if you're new here, we talk about this code every single day, and how when you know it, you see what's really going on with the news headlines, and how they're contrived and numerically encoded the way they are. And again, this whole study comes from Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, where in the Book of Formation it's written that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words, kind of like how the beginning of the Old Testament, the Jewish section of the Bible, begins with God speaking the world into existence over numbered days. Look up the songs Gematria, the killing name, and the songs Murder by Numbers by the Police. And it's very clear that both of those songs are a reference to what we're talking about right here. Again, Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. She died at 52, and today's the 106th day of the year. Whenever we talk about these numbers coming together, it's usually a ritual related to prophecy, but I don't know enough about what's in the Harry Potter series, because I have not seen the films, and I have not read the books. Maybe somebody who's more familiar with the show would get that part. But again, she's dead at 52 on the 106th day of the year. But notice her name in the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules numerology, Helen McCrory. 67, like blood sacrifice, like human sacrifice. Just yesterday, we were talking about the reality TV star with the 67 name and how often this number shows up in suspicious celebrity deaths. Again, patterns we've documented for years, hundreds of times. And you know, the media is always real tasteful in the way they mock their readers. So she's an actress, and they choose to show this right here, Helen McCrory in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. You know, it's like, okay, they couldn't have chose a different film just to show a picture of her. They had to go with the Deathly Hallows in the news of her death. But again, it is mockery because they are mocking us. They treat us like we're dumb children, and in a way we are. They've kind of kept us in a dumb childlike state through slave school and chemical poisoning and making life way easier than it should be. Again, we live in their world. And for saying whose world? Again, the Catholic Church's world. The same person whose calendar you're on, the same person whose language you're speaking, the same person who created this nation as we know it and runs the world of entertainment and everything else. All roads lead to Rome. But yeah, it's just, I mean, they put the information in front of people's faces just to treat them like they are blind. And I just noticed that this film released 11/11/11, November 11th, 2011, the same film they're showing here. Makes me, I have a feeling that if I watched this film without seeing the other ones, I'd probably feel a bit lost, but maybe I'd still pick up on some stuff anyway. But if anybody knows the Harry Potter series, enjoys the Harry Potter series, wants to research this movie and provide feedback, I look forward to your comment. You can comment right here on my website at GematriaEffect.news. And yeah, I also noticed that she studied at the Drama Centre London, and that's part of a larger school, Central St. Martin's, which is now a public university, but it did not start out as a public university. It started out as a Catholic school. And what I noticed is in Gematria, Drama Centre London and Central St. Martin's, because again, they're part of the same campus, they both have the same gematria with the alphabetic order and rules numerology and reverse alphabetic order. And notice with the reverse alphabetic order, it's 283, which is the 61st prime. And she's dead April 16th, 2021. A date with 61 numerology, and Harry Potter's 61, and all the headlines are saying how she's part of the Harry Potter series. Now notice Harry Potter, with just the most simple cipher, the alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26, is 164, like today's 16/4, as it's written in the majority of the world, the 16th day of the 4th month. The Harry Potter actress is dead on a 61 date numerology on 16/4. And remember, 61 is a special number. It comes from sacred geometry, the flower of life, the shape of all shapes in sacred geometry, spiritual study that believes essentially God is the master geometer, created the world out of geometric patterns, but the flower of life is 61 overlapping circles. Remember, words like Jesus, cross, church, Christian, Christmas, they're all 61. God's 61. She died at 52. The word devil's 52. And, of course, Pope is 52 and Earth's 52, and we're on a calendar named after Pope Gregory, the Gregorian calendar, and a 52-week year, 52 cards in the deck. But, yeah, it's just so obvious. I mean, for people who are new here who saw the first video, they might be like, okay, well, I don't know how repetitions the patterns are. I don't know if this one's an outlier. Again, just take the knowledge that I'm showing you and apply it to the next celebrity death in the news, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and you'll find out how you can end up in front of a computer screen showing the same thing day after day for going on 8 straight years as I have. Because, I mean, it's like this every single time. You know. Here, let's see. If I died today, let's see. Could we make a riddle out of it if I died today? Let's see. We'll go with my full name. Zachary Keefe Hubbard. Is today the 170th day of the year? No. Is it the day leaving 170 days left in the year? Is today the 89th day of the year, leaving 89 days? No. Does it have 89 date numerology? No. 89 is the 24th prime. Is it the 24th of the month? No. 343? I don't think that would fit in with today. 100? Today doesn't have any connection to 100, so no, my full name wouldn't work. And what if you just did it by my more common name? Zachary Hubbard. If it was like August 13th, that would make sense, but it's April 16th. Is it the 66th day of the year? No. Is it the 240th? No. None of the date numerology adds up, so no, it wouldn't make sense for me today. But day after day with celebrities, it lines up this way. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, even beyond what I'm about to show you, if you went and researched this woman, you'd find a bunch more connections with why she went today. But again, it's just... And the reason I'm even looking back at her old school is because these people are chosen for roles because they had those numbers connected to their lives. And again, she was chosen to be an actress in the Harry Potter series, and she dies on a fitting date in tribute to what she's most remembered for. And CNN mocks with the Deathly Hallows image to show you who she was. So, that is that story. And we have another mass shooting. If you were up late last night, the first headline that broke was police responding to a mass casualty situation at FedEx facility in Indianapolis. And if you read the story, they had pretty much zero information about what was going on, but they already had a headline of it being a mass casualty situation, right? And then the update was that several people were being taken to different hospitals. And then hours later, it became that 8 people were killed, 4 inside, 4 outside. But what I noticed right away is that the shooting happened late, April 15th, 2021, which was a date with 60 numerology, and it happened in Indianapolis, which is 60, like police is 60. And again, the entire story is coming from the police, and CNN's told us before in their own news that police engage in active shooter simulations. They do them unannounced in public places, even at private businesses, to create the realism of the scenario for the training purposes. And I have no doubt that a lot of these drills are being reported as real tragedies for the sake of agenda. Remember, politician, policy, police, they all have the same root word. They all start P-O-L. Again, police means policy enforcer. We have politicians that make the policies, but who's behind the politicians? Of course, the people who benefit, the people who financially own them, the people who have, for example, privatized prisons, something that we have in America. We have for-profit prisons that make more money the more people they have incarcerated. Those people that own those prisons have big pockets, and they pay big sums to judges that allows them to make big decisions that put even more people in prison. And again, it's just the whole system is so corrupt. It's amazing that people can't see what's going on. So it's like, okay, like here in Yakima, you realize you have all these homeless people that are addicted to pharmaceutical drugs, opioids, right? You have pharmaceutical companies advertising on all the news, giving you all your information. You have pharmaceutical companies owning your politicians who are now making policies, shutting down the nation because of supposed killer germs where you need rushed out vaccines, right? Again, you just have to see who really controls the nation and why things are. And the controllers, they want these people to have no way to fight back to their tyranny. They just want to be rich and all-powerful and in control and, essentially living at the top of the pyramid while the rest of us work and slave for them and are used and abused for them and they're guinea pigs for them. And, again, that's how they're doing it. That's why so many people who watch this channel and other channels like mine, I'm sure other people get the same kind of feedback from people in international communities, but they look at us in America and they say, man, you guys are the last people in the world that can stand up to this new world order. And if you guys, totally fall and have no way to fight back, we're all doomed. And I think those people already know we're kind of all doomed, but it's true. If there's not something that changes in the U.S. that overturns things, it's going to be ugly here for a long time. So... But yeah, here was the proof of the shooting, a bunch of sirens outside a building. And again, FedEx equals 44, like shooting like officer. The last time there was a FedEx shooting, there might have been another one, but the one that I still remember was the one in Georgia. It was April 29th, 2014, also in April. And they reported that one was at 5:44 a.m., 44 minutes after, at the FedEx in Georgia. And again, notice where that happened. April 29th, 2014, Kennesaw, Georgia. It's 1:54, like 15/4, like the date of the latest shooting in Indianapolis. And again, if people really are being killed, if people are really dying, which is possible, they're not showing us any evidence that realize that. In all the shootings since March 16th, there hasn't been one shred of evidence that anyone's died. And that's true for most of the mass shootings we've been told about for all of our lifetime. They make these big claims and ask for these radical changes, but there's never any evidence. And people should demand to see the evidence. Like Sweet Lady, over in her country in the news, if people get killed, they just show it. They just show it. And people are used to looking at that. They want to know what really happened to make decisions. Here in the U.S., we don't even need to see any information. We're just so well-trained, we just automatically accept what comes from authority as truth. And anyone who questions it is labeled by mainstreamers as a conspiracy theorist. If you question the authority that gives us this highly questionable information all the time, if you question it, you're a conspiracy theorist. If you accept it, well, then you're a well-trained, normal person. You're mentally sound. You're very mentally sound if you just trust the news without question. If you just trust your government without question. Especially if it just comes directly from your own political party, But also, by the way, in 2014, it was a 19-year-old shooter. Just notice how FedEx and Chaos have that 19 and 26. 19's the 8th prime number. Again, this time they're saying 8 dead, 4 inside, 4 outside. And then another headline, we've seen this one many times before after these mass shootings. Authorities were warned about FedEx suspects' potential for violence, sources said. And then if you read the story, they say they're aware of him, but they didn't have enough evidence to, essentially do anything or, arrest him. So it just eventually led to this, even though they already had a good hunch that this guy was a threat to society. And remember, this is another theme that's been put in front of us through the story Minority Report, future crime, where police are trying to detect who's going to commit the crime before it happens and make the arrest. Again, you just see that the way people bow down and don't question anything and don't make any noise. And a lot of them in the United States have the same mentality, or a mentality like this, where they think, well, I'm just going to keep working and minding my own business and paying my taxes and following the rules and just stay in compliance, and I won't have anything to worry about, you know? And those kind of people, they'll hear about stories like this, maybe pre-crime arrests. FBI saw that, that could be a future story. I mean, maybe 10 years from now, those are the kind of stories we're looking at. Arrests made of people who made posts online saying that, the government needs to come down. It's a terrorist organization. And then, this man obtained for saying these statements. And I'm sure, how they do it. They'll always make the person look as bad as possible. So whatever else they could throw in there with that to make them look like this horrible person, say, see, isn't it a good thing we arrested them before anything crazy happened? He could be the next James Egan Holmes, and then they'll flash, the guy with the wacky eyes and the orange hair. I mean, this is where they're taking us. Think about it. Literally right now, this is the situation in the United States of America. A company that has a criminal rap sheet, a very long one, who's responsible for a lot of wrongful death and injury, life-changing injuries. This company controls the nightly news advertising. This company has probably more influence in Washington, D.C. than almost any other out there. And this company, despite all this, was the first also approved their vaccine, Pfizer. That's the company I'm talking about. Pfizer, their company, the first to get the vaccine approved for COVID, which is being marketed to all people, even though it's nearly 100% survivable by people age 70 and younger who are in normal health. Again, the people who are dying are the elderly and people who already suffer from serious health problems. And how many of those health problems are caused by, the toxic food and diet that is sanctioned by the same government that now cares about your health so much? So anyway, you just see where they're going with these headlines. Eventually, these headlines will just change a little bit more. And, oh, by the way, with regards to the whole Jesuit thing, this shooting in Indianapolis, it was 119 days after Pope Francis's birthday. Remember, Fraternal Order of Police is 119. And again, it happened on the 60-date numerology. Police is 60. But it also happened 154 days after Arturo Sosa's birthday. 154, like 15/4. 154, like 15/4. And we were saying the last FedEx shooting was in a location with 154, which connects to ritual sacrifice. So again, if people are really being killed, understand we can see who's responsible. This is the Jesuit cabal that has major influence with our federal government and pretty much all of our government institutions, right down to the police. So I've never really noticed that pattern with 154 and mass shootings before, but it comes together in a big way here. 2 FedEx shootings with 154, and then 154 days after the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits, and 119 days after the Pope's birthday, the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. And don't forget, Francis and Vatican are 119, just like Fraternal Order of Police. Remind you a bit of September 11th, talk about setting up the police state. Okay, but then there's this, CNN today, a stunning visualization of America's mass shooting problem. And this Chris Klazilla, or whatever his name is, huge propaganda agent. On Thursday night, a man killed 8 people at a FedEx facility near the Indianapolis airport before killing himself. It was the 45th mass shooting in America since March 16th. And then he writes, yes, you read that right, the 45th mass shooting. And it's funny that it's Indianapolis, right? Because they just had March Madness on April 5th, 4-5, and it was Indiana, and had Gonzaga won, they would have been the first 32-0 team since 45 years earlier, which was Indiana, where the championship was. But instead, Baylor beat them, and Baylor won with 86, right after Elgin Baylor died at age 86. And of course, Elgin Baylor went to the Jesuit University, Seattle University in Washington State. There's only 27 Jesuit universities in the nation, but 2 are in Washington State, Gonzaga and Seattle University. And again, look into the history of George Washington being a favored son of the Catholic Church. And remember, he's not really the first president in U.S. history, but he's the first in the history books, as we know the history of the nation, which has always been controlled and written by the Jesuits and the Catholic Church and the Knights Templar and these types. Again, the Jesuits and the Templars are essentially one and the same thing. The Jesuits have the Templar cross in their logo. But 45. And don't forget, IHS is 45. And, but yeah, they're saying 45 mass shootings. Well, just right away, what I have a huge problem with is the big dots on Seattle and Portland, because this is the region of the country that I live in. And there haven't been any mass shootings in Seattle or Portland since March 16th. I'd love to see what they're saying was the mass shooting in Seattle and Portland. That has not been a story. I'm sorry, there have not been any mass shootings in Seattle or Portland. So just since I'm in this neck of the woods, and I know that's not true, how many of these other shootings up here on the map that are part of their 45 count, also didn't happen? Here's the one in Colorado. Show me any real proof. And again, news media reporting and certain police people getting and talking in front of cameras, this isn't proof of anything. Show me some real proof that a mass shooting had happened at these places. And ask yourself why big tech has to keep deleting channels like mine and saying what I'm doing right now is hate speech. Big tech has said it's hate speech to question mass shootings in the news. That's a real definition of hate speech at this day and age by the companies that control the conversations and the information, because we're all plugged into them. You can't question the news. It's hate speech. It's now hate speech to question the news. And we're supposed to have this constitution in this nation that protects the news from putting out information, even protects them from lying. We can't question what they're doing. I mean, you guys, it's just... And again, the reason most people don't care is because they're just too busy with life, man. They're just trying to keep up on the conveyor belt. They got to make the next check. Otherwise, they fall behind, and then everything falls apart. So they're just keeping up with the conveyor belt of life. They don't have time for anything else. Again, as long as the food's still on the grocery stores and the power's running and the water's running and there's a roof over the head, I mean, that's where people are at. They don't have time for anything else. And... it is a big problem. It is a big problem. Okay, also in the news yesterday, April 15th, San Antonio Airport put on lockdown after officer-involved shooting. Okay, so police officers shooting here, and that's making the national news. But remember, San Antonio, Texas is Jesuit town, 19156 like Society of Jesus. And don't forget, April 15th is also the 105th day of the year, and Masonry is 105. And remember, D.C. is controlled by the Jesuits and the Masons, and modern Freemasonry was created by the Jesuit order in the city of London, June 24th, 1717. Okay. Also in the news yesterday, another shooting. A 17-year-old girl critically hurt in Little Village shooting. This is in Chicago. Again, she was 17 and reportedly shot. Teen kill, shot, 17. Little Village got the same Gematria Society of Jesus. It's in the time of the 56th mayor, Lori Lightfoot, while Bill Gates is building Jesuit high schools in the Chicago area. Of course, his wife, Melinda Gates, is from the Jesuit family. Her birthday is the Jesuit Order's birthday, August 15th, Melinda Gates. It's just, and this was on the same day that they released the body cam footage of the other teen shooting by police in Chicago. So just one story on top of the next. Covered that one yesterday. If you missed the video I did on the Adam Toledo story, again, it's connected right with Dante Wright. He keeps wearing the Chicago hat. And these shootings were 13 days apart. A 13-year-old Toledo 91, the 13th triangular number. We first got wind of this story on April 1st when Lori Lightfoot said she wanted to see the body cam footage on 4-1, like 41, the 13th prime, and April 1st is the 91st day of the year, and now they put out the name of the child, and his name's Toledo. Holy Toledo. It's just a joke, man. I mean, stuff is all a joke. And oh yeah, by the way, the body cam footage yesterday, 60, put out on the 60-date numerology by the police. What happened later in the day? Indianapolis 60, a shooting in Indianapolis per the police. Also, another big divider in the news. Fort Jackson white soldier arrested after a video showed him pushing and threatening a young black man. And notice Fort Jackson's 42 in Gematria. And notice the white man who shoved the young black man is 42 years old. And again, they're always putting the same numbers in the racially divisive psyops. Now, normally they're coding the 42 on the black guy, but in this case, they're doing it to the white guy. But still, it's a racially divisive psyop with the same number that's always present. And notice his name's Jonathan Pentland, 263, the 56th prime. Remember, Black Lives Matter, 56, Society of Jesus, 56, Washington, D.C., 56. He's a military guy. Again, so often in these psychological operations, the people are former police or military. And again, I wish my channel had never been deleted because I tell you to watch all my earliest videos. I mean, right in the beginning, I focused a lot on the history of military psychological operations and how this stuff is public information, that the military does have psychological operations units that are specifically created to move the minds of the masses through the media. I mean, it's just... That's why the fact that we're called conspiracy theorists, we're called that by really ignorant people who are willfully ignorant, who've never taken the time to research anything or look into what information is just out there in the public records that's been revealed over the years, through things like the Freedom of Information Act. And they just sit back and they watch the news and they get taken emotionally by the news and they believe in the news. And anything else is just a conspiracy theory. But these people are truly, they're anchors dragging us all to the bottom, man. Okay, and then 21 states record at least a 10% rise in daily COVID cases. Now, this was also yesterday. This headline says April 16th, but this was from the Johns Hopkins, Thursday, April 15th, 2021, which it says in the article. And it just reminded me, the 21st state is Illinois, right? And it just reminds me of Lincoln, because Illinois is the land of Lincoln, and this is the day in history that the Titanic sank. It's also the day that Lincoln supposedly died in a theater, when it's all political theater to steer the masses, and has been for a long time. And they say that he was killed by John Surratt. Well, they say John Surratt, the Jesuit, was the chief architect of the assassination of Lincoln. But with regards to the 21, in the year 21, again, Jesuits 21, Lincoln on June 8th, 1864 wrote, "This war would have never been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to popery that we now see our land reddened with the blood of her noblest sons." So, again, Lincoln mentioned the Jesuits, but... Anyway, the point about that, if you don't know that, Confederate got that 201. In that same cipher, same with Indianapolis. Indianapolis is 201. The Jesuit orders 201. Remember, Baylor just won in Indianapolis on April 5th, 201 days before the Baylor coach's birthday, and he went to college there at Butler. And from Elgin Baylor's birthday to the day of the championship was 201 days later. And again, I've been talking about for years... Like, before I was certain that it was the Jesuits who were really running the show worldwide, I've been certain for a long time that they've been running March Madness and college basketball and professional sports. I've been certain about that for a long time. And this year was just like the biggest confirmation ever. But again, it's the same people controlling all of it. It's just so obvious now at this point. Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation 1 month before the outbreak. I just didn't need to see any more after that. Again, remember, when you write out Ignatius of Loyola, 201. When you write out Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. Ignatius of Loyola founded the Jesuits. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, that's the name of Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, and the first to live in Suite 201. Don't forget, Timothy McVeigh, 201, blew up the Oklahoma City building on the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola became the first superior general of the Jesuits. And that day is April 19th, which is just 3 days away from now. Last year, there was a mass shooting in Canada that got gun rights taken away on April 19th in Canada. Remember, the Jesuits operate worldwide. But again, here it is. At least 21 states have recorded at least a 10% rise in daily average positive cases of COVID-19, according to the Johns Hopkins University data Thursday. So that was April 15th, demonstrating that the fight against the pandemic is far from over. And they go to Michigan, which has the same gematria as Catholic. Okay. But again, in case I didn't cover this one yesterday, so far 5,800 fully vaccinated people have caught COVID anyway in U.S. CDC says, and then they say 74 have died. Again, 58 and 74 are numbers of masonry that are used repetitively. He just talked about this in several of the shootings in recent days, and we talk about them all the time. So, again, you just got to say, and again, I've explained in 2 books now how the numbers come together as a language to pay tribute to the organizations who are behind the headlines we read. We are controlled by secret societies. It's in plain sight. Our nation's capital is the headquarters for this continent to 2 very powerful secret societies, the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which were created by the Jesuits. And don't forget, Scottish Rite has the same gematria as Rome, and the Scottish Rite was created in Paris, France. Well, not created, but it came to power in Paris, France. That is where the Jesuits were created. Also in the headlines, with 5 short words, Jeff Bezos just shared a brutal truth. And then it says his letter was more than 5,600 words. This is how the mainstream media was sure to comment that his letter was more than 5,600 words. If you have not read my book, Number Games, 9/11 to Coronavirus, again, I wrote about how Jeff Bezos essentially took over the world at age 56. Jeff Bezos takes over the world at age 56. And Amazon, his streaming service, to conclude the year, put out the comedy special Yearly Departed, and it begins by saying 2020 was such a bad year that it felt like it was 56 months long. And, of course, there were a million gigantic 56 rituals in 2020. But once again, they just have to shed light on the numbers. I mean, was that a crucial detail? Also, if you've not seen this clip between Rep. Jim Jordan, what he was going at with Fauci yesterday before Maxine Waters quipped at him. And that reminds me, do you guys remember? Some of you guys probably do remember. It was probably about a year and a half now. It was in the same episode that I called Kamala Harris's, Senate office and talked to her secretaries. And they actually weren't that bad. They listened well. But then I called Maxine Waters' office, and her secretaries were so rude and mocking, and I just thought, God, you can just smell the corruption coming out of it. And not to say that Kamala, huge Jesuit ritual, oh man. And don't forget, Kamala, she took her law exam at the Jesuit school and studied there, and now she's with Jesuit Joe. But anyway, I'm just saying, if you listen to that stream, when I called Kamala's office, the people on the phone listened, though. They listened. They would have given you hope. When I called Maxine Waters' office, man, just thought, where's the IRA when you need them? But anyway, this whole thing yesterday between Fauci and Jim Jordan, it's good what was said, but at the same time, it's like, why is Jim Jordan wearing a mask? I mean, come on, take off the mask. But let me see if I got the quote here. I want to read the quote of what he said. Okay. So Jim Jordan said, your right to go to church, your right to assemble, your right to petition your government, freedom of the press, freedom of speech has all been assaulted. And he's saying that due to the pandemic, because there's been all these new rules and lockdowns and curfews. All of these liberties we're supposed to have been taken away at different points during the pandemic. And in some places, some still have not been reinstated. But Anthony Fauci responded by saying, you're talking about liberties. I'm talking about health. So Anthony Fauci, his response was essentially saying that, making sure people live is more important than anything. And see, that's the rhetoric of a tyrant and a liar and a fraud. And again, that's why Kary Mullis is dead, the doctor who was calling out Anthony Fauci, who died right before the pandemic began. And they said he died from pneumonia, you guys. And you see, that's the mockery, because COVID is very similar to pneumonia, because pneumonia really gets your lungs, and so does COVID. And again, they're not really documenting many pneumonia deaths anymore, or flu deaths. Deborah Birx said how things are COVID deaths now. And people are going to be paid when somebody dies of COVID. They're going to get a bonus, too, to report that. $15,000. Nice bonus. But again, when you look at the data, the people who are dying are the people who are already unhealthy and the elderly. And it's not that we shouldn't do things to protect those people. I'm all for taking care of people, but does that mean we should, suspend everybody else's way of life and their business? And, you've seen the same media say that as many people have died of suicide because of consequences of the pandemic, from lost businesses and debts to those who've died from COVID. CNN's reported that on their own pages. There's been as many deaths from suicide as there has been from COVID. Suicides caused by the consequences of the pandemic. So they know, the same media that tries to shame everybody into, submitting to what they say and having, the media tries to shame you if you have a thought that's different than theirs. And so does big tech. They say that you're putting out misinformation. And I haven't put out misinformation a single time this year. I haven't put out any misinformation. I've stuck to the facts, and I've had how many channels taken down and how many videos taken down for misinformation. It's ridiculous. I just recently, Dale Bigtree played the clip of Anthony Fauci lying, and then he took Johnson & Johnson's own paperwork, since Anthony Fauci was lying about Johnson & Johnson's vaccine and what's in it, and then he took the actual Johnson & Johnson ingredients and said, look, it's right here in their own ingredients, and he's telling people on the TV that ingredient's not in there when it's right here if anyone looks it up. Dell Bigtree gets taken down. I get taken down for sharing that clip for medical misinformation. That's how wrong the times are right now. And think about it. There's so many people that are walking this fine line and dancing around and unwilling to say what needs to be said because they got to continue to bring in their YouTube ad revenue. They got to continue to have the ability to link their T-shirts that they want to sell. Somebody just pointed out the other day to me that Low Impact was mouthing off about me again and saying that I'm this horrible person who talks to people like they're nothing. Dude, I get on here and put out real information every day. You're on here spending half your time marketing the latest gimmicks to sell with T-shirts, and you're talking bad about me? Go out on your corner with a megaphone and get pelted by Slurpees and rocks and all the shit I am, and then keep talking shit. This guy is such a joke, you guys. Do not support clowns like this. This guy is not here for change. He's here to sell shit, period, and that's what he's butthurt about because I called him out for that. God, that guy makes me sick. Mouthing off about me right now. I think he uploaded the video the same day I was getting hit with purple Slurpee. What's he doing? Recording his latest video for what gimmick to sell you based on fear tactics? See, that guy's no different than the media. He's always like, you guys, we know they're going to pull the plug on us any day. Have your basement snacks. Buy them from me right now. Plug in Brian to get your 10% off discount. You want to have at least 5 of these. I know. And then you look at the price. It's like, damn, these things sell for... He's trying to ask you to buy $500 in stuff. And he probably is getting some people to buy that because he's selling this whole fear message. They're trusting Brian, man. Brian's on every day, taking the more of the Fox News approach to the CNN headlines and appealing to those people on YouTube who don't have cable and then selling them some basement snacks and some rechargeable flashlights. This guy's a clown. Yeah, it is good to be prepared, but it's not hard to see what this guy's here for. Censors every word, says nothing meaningful, brings nothing new to the table, and spends half his time making ads. And he's still talking bad about me. Meanwhile, I've had all the things you could bring up. A book that destroys the agenda. The fact that we have a platform that I pay $1,000 a month for, freetofindtruth.com, so people can organize a network and not be censored. Does he mention any of this? Does he mention any of the campaigns we put together in the time of, this going on, trying to rally people to stand up? No, he doesn't help out with anything, but then he sits there and he brings up my name every so often and tries to make it look like I'm a bad person as I continue to get censored. And then meanwhile, people who are real white supremacists like Adam Schilstein, he'll rep Adam Green. You know what I mean? And his channel stays up. It's like, wait a minute, dude. Well, why does his channel get to stay up? He supports the young Nazi sympathizer Adam Green, and he gets to keep his main channel up? How's that? He gets to badmouth me. I think that's how it works. Adam Green, somebody who crawled out of Alex Jones's ass crack. Total clown. But anyway, I'm just getting off topic, but yeah, just realize the whole time I've been here working my ass off, nobody who has a big channel who's been allowed to stay up through all the censorship, none of them have ever helped out my work. Never once. But they've been able to continue to stay monetized and sell shit. It's not hard to see what's going on. Don't be like, well, Brian got demonetized. Yeah, and then he started a new channel that was monetized the next day with his ads and his T-shirts. It's all the same, man. Try being over here. If I try to become monetized, I get rejected. Brian gets accepted. So don't even try to compare it like it's the same. Guy's lost one channel. I've lost 21, and he lost his first channel when deep into 2020. How many channels did I lost by deep into 2020? How many? Nearly 20 channels. Now we've lost 21 as of this moment. And remember when they deleted my first channel, when I was finishing my first book. You don't think that there was an incentive to do that? They probably saw that I was blown up that year. I was hitting everything, news stories, futures, everything. And had they not deleted the channel, a prediction that I had made all year a million times over would have landed in a really big way. Because I told people all year in 2017, circle the weekend of Yom Kippur, we're going to see the biggest false flag in the U.S. since 9/11. Ended up being the Las Vegas shooting, the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting. We'd already called everything. Imagine had the channel stayed up, never been deleted, growing at the rate it was, predictions like that landing. And we've had a million more predictions since then, but I mean, just imagine had this channel stayed up all the time. You'd be able to go through the whole thing, the whole catalog, see how many things we've been right about the whole time, right about the whole damn timeline, right about why 2020 was going to be a really bad period for humanity if we weren't organized and woken up to the agenda and how they operate. I mean, there'd be nothing else like it on YouTube. Not even close. And again, you guys, I mean, just the nonstop suspension, the new channel. This is yesterday. I get home from the corner. Your content was removed due to a violation of our community guidelines. So I scroll down. What is it? Okay. Remember, I had this video. Great American Jab Site Guard destroys crazy conspiracy nutcase. And I was like, I titled it that way because anybody could watch the video, and some people might feel that way. But if anybody missed the conversation I had with the security guard at the jab site, again, he said he doesn't care what's in the vaccine. All he cares about is getting a check and being able to watch his two favorite cartoons, South Park and Family Guy. And that's literally what he said. And then I was giving him a hard time about that and how that didn't really sound like a man. And, it was too bad he had children because it doesn't sound like they have a very good father. I mean, I wasn't being nice to him. But at the same time, should I be? The guy was being a total goon to me. And what kind of man? All he cares about is watching cartoons. I mean, isn't that a joke? He doesn't care that he might be a guard to a site that's actually hurting people. And, they take that video down for medical misinformation. And, this video right here that I got struck for yesterday, this video you couldn't even watch on my YouTube channel. It was unlisted. I uploaded it to YouTube so that I could download it and make it a smaller file, but I never even made it public because I knew that this video wouldn't go over on YouTube. But nobody ever watched this video. This video had 0 views and was unlisted the whole time. I got a strike for an unlisted video? I mean, what? Medical misinformation. Nobody can even see the video. And then they also took down this video. What's new about YouTube, this makes them a little bit more fair. Before, this would have counted as 2 strikes, but now if they take down another one of your videos while you're already serving your suspension, then it doesn't count as a strike. Back in the day, that would have been the 2nd strike. But anyway, then they took down this video. I titled, They Live, Fighter Who Is Ready for the Fallout, Yakima, Washington. This is interviewing a man on the street who came up to me, who told me that he appreciated what I was doing, but, these people were gone, and they're not coming back, and that's why all he's doing now is preparing his body. He's getting strong. He's ready for the fights that are coming. He's mentally prepared. How is this video medical misinformation? The guy shared how, he's awake to the secret societies and the evil that goes on in the town. He told something that some people might, he even said, you might think I'm crazy for sharing this, but he said, somebody said they were casting something on me because I was calling something out. And he said, I've been noticing like in the mirror, there's this thing that I see in the mirror around me. And he said, my girlfriend noticed it. And I said, well, I said, somebody once upon a time told me that that's called a jinn. Somebody thought somebody cast a jinn on me. And, but again, I mean, medical misinformation. It's like they just don't want a real conversation on the street from somebody who's awake, and that's just what they don't want. They don't want the chance that people wake up at all. There's hardly anything on YouTube right now that could wake somebody up. I mean, almost all the good channels have been deleted. All the good information's been scrubbed. You can't even find things that used to just be so easy to find on YouTube. You used to be able to search for JFK's Secret Society speech. Now search for that. A bunch of things will come up, but you'll be listening and you'll be like, wait a minute. This isn't the part of the speech I want. Why is this 8 minutes long and I didn't get the part they used to... Again, they don't want information out there. They don't want people to wake up. This is total tyranny, you guys. We've allowed total tyranny to take over our lives. And we have. This is exactly what I was worried about on 9/11. I used to wonder what the world would look like when I got older, and now I get to see, man. It's just like, this is 20 years later, man, and it's just ugly as can be. But hey, you still got to laugh, and very intelligent gentleman in the community who knows a lot about golf. Check out this gentleman's channel, even if you don't like golf. Baligo backwards. He's doing golf in Gematria. He's putting together undeniable coincidence, I don't know what the right word is. You got to be a coincidence theorist to watch these guys' videos and just dismiss what you're saying. I mean, it's the same thing with the stuff I put out. But, he's taken the knowledge, he's applied it to golf, and he's doing a very good job. And Bali Go Backwards is the channel. But he pointed out how yesterday, on the anniversary of the Titanic sinking, day one of the latest tournament, Stuart Sink was in second place on the anniversary of the Titanic sinking. And Cameron Smith, again, James Cameron, the movie director, did that famous film about Titanic. And then he even did the more documentary one, like going down filming the Titanic. But Cameron Smith, James Cameron, Stuart Sink. Again, you can think it's all a coincidence, but pay attention like we do. You start to realize the game is rigged, the system's rigged, it's mockery. They love to put the riddles in our face every day. They like to treat us like we're stupid. And they like getting away with it, too. I mean, they like getting away with it. And if there's anything that I am doing in the world and accomplishing, it's showing that these people do not like being exposed. And that they go to great limits to hold down the people exposing them. So, again, if you got here late, take that red bar at the beginning, rewind it to the beginning, back to the left. Helen McCrory is where we started. Her death today. Harry Potter actress, and CNN pays tribute with a picture of her from the Deathly Hallows, one of the Harry Potter chapters. So, more mockery. And then the stunning visualization of all the mass shootings, and it's like, well, wait a minute, hold on. I live up here near Portland, Seattle. There hasn't been any mass shootings up here since March 16th. And this maps supposedly every mass shooting in the country since March 16th. So it's like, okay. Again, mainstream media is protected to lie all day. YouTube, you can't have a differing opinion from the media. So I guess essentially what YouTube and Google is saying is if you're not in compliance with the lies of the media, then you're actually misinformation. So you have to submit to the lies. Otherwise, you're part of the misinformation. It really couldn't get any more Orwellian, you guys, but that's where we are. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And I'm going to talk to Sweet Lady. Sweet Lady is very sad right now. Sweet Lady just has this bad feeling inside. She's upset about, just... She's worried. Sweet Lady's worried right now about my man on the corner thing. She just thinks somebody's going to get so provoked they're going to do something crazy. She's just got this bad feeling right now. So, anyway, I'm going to try to ease Sweet Lady's feelings, and then I'm going to go to the corner. I might just do positive messages today. It might just be a totally positive day. And maybe today I'll just promote this idea to people that listen right now. Right now, the streets of I think that's what I'm going to do today on the corner. Just get people to think about these facts. The streets of Yakima are flooded with pharmaceutical opiates that have a lot of young people addicted and homeless and robbing from stores in the community. And maybe a lot of these young people do want help, but they can't help themselves because their body's an addiction. If you missed the story I had yesterday, I uploaded it to the Signs Matter channel. Here, if you missed this clip yesterday, I talked to this young man for about 50 minutes yesterday. Chris, I didn't get his name until the very end. But hold on, let me get this video here. Okay, it's right here. I'm going to put it up for you guys. If you need something else to watch today, I guess it was just under an hour. It was almost an hour. But Signs Matter channel, I had a conversation with a gentleman. He came up to me, wanted to have a conversation, and he was just so honest, you guys. He's addicted to these Percocet 30s, and he explained what it's like. And he also explained that if he really wanted to get off of them, he probably could, but he doesn't want to because he feels like he has nothing to live for right now. And he's kind of just waiting for God to call him. And he explained that, he's done some bad things in life, but he realized that's not the way he wanted to be years ago. And he was living in Los Angeles, and he joined a government program where they go into schools and reach youth who are on the verge of becoming a gang member or already in a gang member, and just talked about, his experience and what was wrong with it. By the way, sorry if you do watch this video, this thing's in the middle of the screen. I think I got it fixed going forward, but that's the only downside about this video, so you'll have to deal with that. Sorry, but and I think his voice is a little bit quiet at the very beginning, but then it picks up and gets louder, and you'll hear him just fine. I think I had to get closer in with the mic, but yeah, he just gave a really honest story, and he talked about the best moment of his life is when he was part of this government program and going into schools and interacting with youth and inspiring youth, and he saw he was making a difference, but then the government pulled the plug on that program, and he didn't understand why because it was so effective. And then he moved up here to Yakima, and he tried to introduce the program up here because there's a huge young gang community here. There's a lot of drug violence and crime here. And the school district said they weren't interested, and he didn't understand why because he thought that it just makes so much sense, and aren't schools in the interest of helping out children? And he understands now that it's all just a system, and no, they're not. And they want the world the way it is, and they want people in cages because for-profit prisons are big business. And, he sees what it is now, but now he's just in a hard spot. So anyway, and he says a lot more too. It's just you just see how honest he is. And again, for all the people who look at people on the street and have all this judgment, again, you don't know these people's stories. And again, if they lived in a better environment, they'd be doing better in the world. Had he still had that position, he probably wouldn't be addicted to Percocets on the street, and he'd still be going into schools and inspiring youth and trying to keep them off the wrong path. Feel like he's giving back, making up for what he did wrong. And yeah, I talked to him. I said, imagine that I could offer you like a spot up on the hill over there. I pointed to the hill, the same one you see in the background down the road. I said, imagine we had some land over there and a place. And I said, there's a room for you there tonight. There's a shower. You can clean your clothes. You don't owe anything. All we ask is that, you be a good part of the community, and we grow food there so that we have our own storage of food. In case, I said, you remember last year, like the food scarcity, that they're forecasting that food scarcities are going to become a bigger thing with the climate change and all that. I said, I want a place where I have community, and I know who's good and who I can trust and where the food is. And he said he would like to be a part of that. But I know how it is too. I mean, when you struggle with drug addiction, sometimes your drug addiction that'll become the thing that just outweighs everything else. But imagine that we did have a place like that. Because what I told him is, I said, that's what I'm trying to make happen right now. I said, I realize that's what we need. And you guys, I realize it doesn't just have to be for homeless, man. People who just want to be part of a community and grow food and be around people and like-minded people and open-minded people and people who want to help each other. I just realized this video has so many thumbs down. How can this video have 19 thumbs down? God. That's crazy, man. I don't know how that video can possibly have so many thumbs down. Like, an honest man telling his story? I don't know. I guess the truth hurts, but yeah, anyway, it's just, and we could, it's like what I'm trying to do here. I mean, really, it should be able to happen in every community. Every community has the wealth in it to make something like that happen. And I was just thinking about what's the way you market it back to the community? Because some people just have the idea, I'm not helping some drug addict, bum loser on the street. But what if it's like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about making these people, not making, but giving them an opportunity to have something better to do with their time. And imagine that you set this up and it's so successful. Instead of 500 people out homeless on the street, you got them living there, but every day they're helping with the community. They're helping create food. They're helping, pick food, preserve food. And it becomes food that's more than just for the community. It becomes food for the town as well. It's like you took the people who were stealing from the town, and now they're doing something that gives back to the town. It makes the town better. You took a net negative and you made it a net positive. It could happen. It could happen. And honestly, part of the way it would have to be is if you have drug addicts there, you're gonna need like people on there that know how to work with drug addicts and help them kick the habit. And a gentleman who flew up from Phoenix last year to pound payment with us last March 2020 in Seattle, Chico and his mother came out. Shout out to Chico. Chico saw this video and he left a comment and he said that he had some of these painkiller addictions, and he said it was kratom that got him off of it, and I've heard that before from other people. So I mean, if you had a place like this, you'd have counselors there, you'd have the right kind of people to help these people, and you could have a supply of kratom there. Maybe kratom's the magic bullet for the people hooked on the painkillers. But anyway, I just being out there and talking to these people and then having to say goodbye to them, like I felt bad all night about Chris. Like, man, it's just like I feel bad. It sounds like he's doing better than most homeless people because, like he said, this is temporary what he has right now. But he says he knows where there's an abandoned property, a place to get a shower. He said, he doesn't have to grind for his Percocet addiction because he has a person that'll hook him up for free, and that's probably because that person, I don't know. I didn't ask him about that, but he looked pretty clean for a homeless guy. But for how long? And again, when you're on these painkillers and you are addicted to them, I mean, they're taking time off your life. They take a toll on the body. So he wants a better world. But I mean, if you watch the interview, you see the part where he says, he's like, I'm just waiting for God to come call me. So, and again, it's just like he just feels like it's dead ends for him. He had something, it was great, it was taken away from him, and he hasn't been able to get back on the path since. So, a lot of stories like that in America. And again, for all the people who would criticize a person like that, I mean, again, watch the video and listen to what he said. He wants to do better. He just needs the opportunity. And I'm almost thinking about, I hate to have loans in banks, but I'm almost just thinking go see what kind of loan I could qualify for right now. Could I qualify for Could I qualify for a $3 million loan? Could I get a $3 million loan? Because I've been trying to raise the money, and thank you to everyone who has helped us raise money, but we're nowhere near $1 million, not even close. And I'm just imagining if you bought a plot of land and built a good-sized facility that could house 100 people, I think that's probably what you'd want to start with. And if the program's successful, build on. But I'm pretty sure there's 100 people right now that need help. And, but again, you would need, if you had a facility like that and you had people living there, then you need people to help maintain the facility, make the meals. You need the counselors to help the people who need counseling. Some people on the streets are a lot worse off than others. They have a lot more severe mental problems. But if you had $3 million, you could definitely get the land and build a place and have money to employ people. And I suppose if you could advertise it, get a radio advertisement out, raise awareness about what you're doing, then you could get the funding to pay down your debts eventually. But I just feel like I want to do it right now, and I'm tired of asking people to pledge $1 a month. And it's just, again, like I keep saying to you guys, I mean, the time is now to do something. Something has to be done. It's so bad right now. We're so close to that point where we're told that if we want to be part of society, if we want to go in a grocery store, if we want a job, if we want to go to school, if we want to go into a library, if we want to go to the airport, anything, get on a train, a bus, it's obvious how close it is that it's going to be, well, if you want to do those things, you have to follow our latest rules. And you see, we just made these new rules because Pfizer, they give us a lot of money. They put a lot of money in our pockets. So we made some new rules where you got to get their rushed out vaccine. And yeah, I know they've been sued a lot of times for killing and hurting a lot of people, but I mean, just cross your fingers. It probably won't be you. I mean, it might be you, but it probably won't. And so, just cross your fingers, hold your breath, and, hope for the best, I guess, because that's the new rules around here if you want to participate. And again, it's like, I don't want to participate. I don't want to live in a world where, Big Pharma is dictating what I have to do to go out and be a human being. And sadly, you see where the majority of Americans are. They could care less. They just need to be told what to do by somebody. And that's like what I said before. you see that the way humanity is most people are followers and some people are leaders. And, humanity once upon a time was in tribes and smaller groups. Well, if you have a smaller tribe, a smaller group, and you're probably all related by blood and family, you probably, the leader of that group rises to the top. He's the strongest, he's the smartest, he makes the best decisions, he saves the group. He earns the respect. They know who they can go to. So they follow that. That's the way it's supposed to be. Humanity's supposed to follow the leader. But the problem is in our society, the leaders are evil. The leaders killed their way to the top. They lied and cheated their way to the top. Now they control the technology, and they're masters at PR and putting a smiley face on evil and making everyone think evil is, the truth. So anyway, if you need something to watch today, definitely check out this channel or this video on Signs Matter. Conversation with Chris. And yeah, I might even the funny thing is if you want to go in a bank today, you have to wear a mask. Maybe I should make a scene about that, not wearing a mask in the bank. Like, I cannot believe that I'm being asked to wear a mask in a bank. I mean, once upon a time, wasn't that illegal? So, but yeah, I've never gotten a loan from a bank before, but I'm just thinking about it right now. I'm just like, man, something's got to happen. I don't got the funds to do the things I want to do. And, yeah, maybe if I just did it myself, then I would motivate people to get behind it and support it. Maybe if they saw it in action, we're filming, we're growing some food here, we're helping out some homeless people. And I know it's tough, man. I've worked with the homeless population. Working with the homeless population is very tough. You can deal with some severe behavior, some threatening behavior. Sometimes it just comes out of nowhere, it seems like. You don't even realize how you triggered them. But still, they are a population that deserves help, and if society did help them, it would be a net positive for community. It's just like in Yakima right now, like I said, a lot of businesses getting broken into because there's a lot of young addicts, and you need money if you want to buy your pills. So still somebody, and I mean that's what you realize. What starts happening, it's like they're so desperate for a pill that costs $40, they'll break into your store, steal hundreds of dollars of stuff, and pawn it off for one pill. I mean, had they come to the store owner and said, listen, I really need this pill. Can you just give me $40? Otherwise, I'm going to destroy your whole shop tonight. Store owner probably would just give over $40. And again, that's why society needs to realize, like, okay, if we invest in taking care of our problems, it's actually going to save us a lot more in the long run and the short run. So anyway, I'm going to go talk to Sweet Lady. And then should be out on the corner before long. So we'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Have a good one. And until next time.